I am proud to say that this is now the third time I've had to redo this intro because YouTube, the noble, hard-working people they are, copyright striked my video. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you so much. Once I saw that they struck my video, I had two options. I could either dispute this claim or I could try and edit out the stuff that they thought was copyright strike, even though it's fair use because I'm transformative, this content. So I decided to re-edit it. Personally, I'd rather have getting a second strike on my channel be my fault and not a robot's at YouTube's because they're just great at picking that stuff up.
Has the Imperial Magistrate reached a verdict? I have. Guilty or innocent? Spare me this mockery of justice! I repeat, guilty or innocent? Innocent. Feed him to the Sharkticons.
So during this video, there are going to be a few parts where I show clips from the movies, but it's a little bit interrupted. So try not to let that distract from your viewing experience. Thank you very much for watching this for the first time if you are, or if you're, rewatching it, thank you for that. Also, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. We have a green screen now. Wow. Thank you very much for watching. Please enjoy. Hopefully this doesn't get taken down a second time.
Hey you. It's me, surprise. If you didn't know, I'm an art student, which means I can only consume the finest of cinema.
How much is it?
It'll be $18.
Here you go. Keep the change. Hi, doggy.
You're my favorite customer.
Now, I'm re-recording this intro because when I originally recorded this video, Lamb had just came out. But now that I have some time to actually make this video, I wanted to talk about this film because I know a lot of people are not and have not watched it. That might be for a multitude of reasons. Some people just don't like art house films. I live in America, so no one would watch it with me because it's a foreign film.
Potrzebuję trochę czasu, znajdę ci pieniądze.
Oh, still don't understand you.
And the trailer released makes it out to be a film that it's not quite entirely. But we'll get into that later, I think. I think I touched on that. Maybe not, so this might just be clickbait. But anyways, let me dive in and show you what this movie is all about.
The film starts in the middle of a snowstorm where we see some horses get spooked away by this weird breathing noise. Whatever's breathing enters this lamb stable where we find a pregnant lamb who falls over onto the floor. And a radio announces that this is indeed Christmas.
Gleðileg jól.
We then see a wife and husband having dinner, and the wife takes a look out the window where we hear that breathing once more. Enter chapter 1 of the film. Also, they don't get around to saying the name of the wife and the husband till later in the film, so I want to say that now. The wife's name is Maria, and the husband's name is Ingvard. Chapter 1 basically introduces us to the two main characters, living their lives on John Marston's farm. They're in the middle of their lambing season, and it seems to be one of their best ones that they've had so far. That night at dinner, Ingvard brings up the fact that scientists have discovered that time travel might be possible, and how that they might be able to travel to the future. Hey guys, can I eat breakfast with you? Cool! My name's Frederick III, and I like hanging out with my friends. We're having a good conversation right now about time travel and stuff. Don't pay attention to me at all. Look at the subtitles and listen to the characters as much as you can. Thanks, YouTube. This moment finally gives us some insight into the characters. While Ingvard is happy with the farm and the life that he has here, Maria is a little bit more reserved, and she is definitely conflicted about something in her past. Both probably a miscarriage, it seems like, but as well as the fact that this isn't the life that she wants. It's the one that Ingvard wants. We get some more farming simulator gameplay, and it seems like the work of the day is done. However, the dog begins to bark and informs the family that there is one more lamb that hasn't been birthed. Upon birthing the lamb, both Ingvard and Maria are very startled and unsettled by what has just been birthed. The camera doesn't show us any of this, but I wonder what it could possibly be. We see the couple bring back the lamb to the house and start caring for it as if it is an actual child. Meanwhile, the mama lamb gets very angry. Over this time, we see Ingvard walk in on Maria cradling the child. He actually shows some visible disgust in this scene, rather than love. He walks out of the house and goes to this tractor and starts to cry, like any real man does. The next day, the mama sheep is found trying to get to her child that's still in the house. And much like my own grandmother, when they politely ask her to leave, she stays and screams at them through the night and kidnaps the child the next day. At this point in the film, we start to see the child grow on Ingvard, and the two desperately search for their child. By the way, it's also not mentioned till later, but the child's name is Ada.
Hey, this is post-editing Tanner, and I'm just watching back the footage, and they definitely say Ada's name more than, 50 times in the past 20 minutes of runtime. I don't know how I missed that, but yeah, so that was a big lie. Just disregard that.
After some time looking for Ada, when all hope seems lost, they hear a ba in the distance and find Ada with the mother. Which, I mean, seriously, mother lamb, why would you ever do that? They had no idea you were there. You were surrounded in mist. It's a perfect getaway. At this point, we actually see what Ada is. She is a half-human, half-lamb creature, specifically with most of the lamb features being on her head and arm. The couple picks up Ada and begins to walk back home. However, the mother lamb is continuing to follow them. At this point, Maria turns around and passionately screams at the mother, the same way that I scream anytime Disney releases a new Star Wars show. Father! The couple tucks Ada back into bed and all seems right in the world. Chapter 2 starts with Maria making Ada a funny little hat from that other A24 film. Ingvard herds some sheep, and we get this glimpse of a random family driving down a dirt road. After a while, the family stops and tosses some middle-aged, misguided teenager out of the back of their car. After he gets tossed out of the car, he begins to walk aimlessly into the mountains. That night, Maria has a nightmare about sheep with glowing eyes. And again, she is awoken by the mother bawling at the window for her child. We see her grab a gun and shoot the mother without an ounce of hesitation. I love how she's right outside the window too when she does this. She literally does this the second she walks out of the door. There's absolutely no hesitation. She is a cold-blooded killer.
Oh, yes! Yes! Yes!
She aggressively buries the mother sheep and returns to the house to clean up. But little does she know the creepy middle-aged teenager is secretly watching her the whole time. We actually find out that this is Ingvard's brother Peter, who may or may not be a morally great character. You could see because he's smoking a cigarette, and cigarettes mean bad people. See what I did there? I did. Ingvard finds him in the barn the next morning and invites him to breakfast. This is the first time that we see Ada meet someone from the outside world, and someone from the outside world meets Ada. Peter reacts about exactly how you would expect someone would react. Peter thinks that Ada is unnatural, and it's weird that they are having this animal live with them. Ingvard tells him that they can stay with him as long as they like, however he can't interfere with their life. Peter reluctantly agrees and goes to bed.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you about this dream I had. You know, I was sleeping, right, and I woke up and I was in this like 60s house with these old people, and they were like, "Hey, what are you doing, man?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And so the old man, he took out a paddle and just started like bouncing me across the head with it, you know. And I was like concussed at this point. I couldn't tell anything. So I like walk up and I like, you know, go to their kitchen, right?
The one thing I love about this film is although it doesn't have a tremendous amount of dialogue, every little bit counts. For example, in this small scene, this tells us a lot about Ingvard and Maria's characters. While Ingvard is willing to help everyone he can, Maria is more worried about herself. The next morning, we finally return to some farming simulator gameplay. Meanwhile, Ada plays unattended next to the water, looking at herself in the reflection. I'm no parent, but like, you're gonna leave your kid next to a river running water who, you know, we don't know if this child thing can swim. So, you know, it's something to think about as parents there. After farming, Peter decides to become the creepy uncle of the family.
Sa din padre que
Finally, a relatable character. It's clear that these two characters must have had an affair at some point, because Maria never actually says what he's doing is wrong, but rather tells him to stop. The next day, after doing some chores, Peter turns around and breaks Ingvard's one rule and introduces Ada to the root of all evil: rock and roll. Oh, and I guess there's that scene where he feeds her grass like a sheep, completely dehumanizing her, but... Ingvard, seeing this, goes through the 5 stages of grief all at once and takes Ada away. Peter tries to reason with him and say that Ada's not a child, but she's just an animal. But Ingvard won't have any of it. That night, when everyone's asleep, Peter decides that he has had enough and he will take care of the situation himself. Just like the scene before, where Maria shoots the mother sheep, we see Peter grab the rifle and take Ada out to a field.
I am walking through the grass. Oh my God. Are you gonna shoot that lamb? Don't do it, please. Don't do it, man. That's messed up. Don't do it. Stop. Don't.
Maria wakes up and notices that Ada's gone. She begins to search the house for her.
Hey guys, it's me. I'm a new character in the film. My name's Larry. You know, I was just down the way. I wanted to get some sugar and some eggs because, you know,
Chapter 3 starts with Maria sitting alone in a graveyard, confirming our theory about Maria grieving over a miscarriage. What's even sadder and more disturbing about this is we see that the previous child's name was in fact Ada. We then cut to Ingvard reading Ada a storybook. I'm not sure what the title of this storybook is and if it holds any relevance to the themes of the story, but it very well could. While reading the book, Ingvard suddenly has a Vietnam flashback. One thing I would like to point out is when I've seen most people talking about this film, they tend to think that this is a flashback to when Ada went missing, when in actuality it's not. They're wearing completely different clothes in this situation, and in fact these are the clothes that Ingvard is wearing in the current scene. My read on this scene is that this is one of Ingvard's biggest fears, and he has never gotten over the fact that he lost Ada. Ada has become such a big role in his life, and now that if he lost her, he would be completely empty. The next day, Peter takes Ada on a fishing trip.
Ef ég var strákur, þá kunni ég allar vísur.
What the hell are you talking about?
Svo sem ekki hjálpa mér.
Meanwhile, Maria and Ingvard participate in Bible study. On the way back from the fishing trip, the tractor breaks down and Peter and Ada must walk back home. Fortunately for them, Maria and Ingvard have finished their Bible study and are now playing cards. This is a major contrast from the beginning of the film, where at the beginning, Ingvard and Maria hardly spoke to each other and focused mainly on work. They now play cards together and laugh and have fun. They seem now like a normal family. Later that night, the family sits down and watches a sports game. However, based on their reactions, they could easily be watching the Star Wars sequels.
Who are you? I'm Ray. Ray who? Ray Skywalker.
Due to all the yelling, Ada gets upset, so Maria tries to lighten the mood by inserting a VHS tape of Peter in a band.
We got a #1 victory royale. Yeah, Fortnite, we bout to get down. 10 kills on the...
While watching this, the family all starts to dance, but Ada gets even more upset and walks out of the room. When Ada gets outside, she's suddenly greeted by a mysterious figure who we only can see via the reflection in her eye. The dog chases after it and Ada runs back into the house. See this?
That's called foreshadowing.
At this point, Ingvard is completely wasted. So Peter sends him to bed, and upon coming back from his kind gesture, he begins to make more advances on Maria. And when he doesn't get what he wants,
Veit Ada að þú drafst mömmu?
I don't feel comfortable watching this sort of situation personally, but if you guys want to, you know, like, I mean, I'm not saying I don't not like watching this, but if you want to, like, you know, we can do, maybe I can get in on the action a little bit. Or, oh, you just threw him through the door.
Maria quickly locks him in a closet and heads upstairs to drown out his cries for help on the piano. The next morning, Maria tells Peter that they are leaving. He packs his bag and she takes a wad of money that's hidden behind some plates, and they head off. Shortly after this, Ingvard wakes up and has breakfast with Ada, which I really didn't need to say here. However, I wanted the excuse to show this, because this is the cutest thing in the whole movie. I mean, it's so cute that I drew it myself right here. It's exactly the same. Same photo. Didn't I do good?
This is the face of the clinically insane.
We find out that instead of running away with Peter, Maria just took him to a bus stop to send him away from her and her family. After breakfast, Ingvard and Ada take a walk down to fix the tractor, and he tells her how to find her way home if she ever gets lost. Maria arrives back at the house shortly and starts looking around to see where people are. And suddenly she hears a gunshot in the distance. While Ingvard is bleeding out, the beast takes Ada away, who is looking completely distraught at the sight of dying Ingvard. Ingvard clings to her as long as he can before completely relenting into his death. Right before she is forced to leave, Ada turns around and looks at the sight of her dead father. She has tears welling in her eyes, and it is completely heart-wrenching. There is nothing she can do. After a while, Maria manages to find the unconscious Ingvard, but she seems to be too late.
If you think they have a spinal injury, reassure the casualty and advise them not to move. Call 999.
From here, Maria has a lot of options. She could go back and try and find Ada and potentially face the beast. She could go back to Peter and try and start the life that she always wanted. Or she could... And it's over. The film's over. I'm not joking. It ends right there.
Man, don't you just hate when something ends with no clear and concise ending, just kind of drops off into oblivion and...
Snowpiercer is about capitalism.
You are a worthless, friendless, faggot-lipped little piece of shit whose mommy left daddy